Welcome to the Spirit of Doom.
Welcome, dear listeners, and gratitude for tuning into another edition of The Spirit of Do, a bi weekly show exclusive to Radio Yesterday, airing Mondays and Fridays at 10 a.m. South African Standard Time, with me, David John Wayne Bailey, your host and guide, as we embark upon a journey to bridge the gap between thought and action. Today's topic is leaving it all behind. I share a personal tale of how I left to the UK for a year and how the experience made me more open to taking risks. So, I guess making the decision was easy and hard at the same time. Easy because I grew tired of where I felt my life was going and it didn't really feel like I was adding anything of value or I wasn't growing and I was becoming stagnant. Hard because I've never ever up until that point actually left the country, much less my little town, the little town I grew up in. Sure, there were one or two times, but I've never really experienced something of the vast magnitude of actually being in a foreign country surrounded by foreigners for it was a year. So I declared that to my parents, and they were obviously shocked by it. My mother wasn't too impressed because what am I going to eat? Who's going to wash my clothes? Who's going to iron my clothes? And who's going to take care of me? Basically. My father was like, okay, so if you're serious about this, how can we make this happen? Which is usually his way. And I understand my mother's concern as well because a mother's a mother. She's one of her jobs is is to worry about the children, right? And yeah, I was able to apply for my passport. We got this job situation sorted. We left. I got there, and only to find that the job was not as they presented it to us when we were back in South Africa, in Cape Town, South Africa. And like, you know what? I'm not going to do this. I am going to make my own way and I'm going to leave. So I'm going to share a little story with you. A lot happened. A lot happened there. You'll hear some of it or come across some of it in the book. But at some point I should probably share the story completely in its entirety. But I'll share a little story of what happened after I resigned from the position they gave me. So I declared to the boss of the unit, look, I'm leaving, resignation with immediate effect, and I'm going. It's like, yeah, get out of my place and get your stuff, and yeah, just get out of there. And I rushed back to the place, packed my stuff, and then one of my colleagues also came up to me and he was like, "Oh, DJ, I also don't feel like I want to stay here. Can I come with you?" And I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I've only got enough pounds in my pocket to get me to the next station. And I was like, you know what? Yes, it's fine. Grab your stuff, follow me, let's go. Because I'm not staying here a moment longer. And this guy wants us out of this place. And we don't know what we'll be doing because we are fresh, I think a month in a foreign land. And we thought that things would turn out differently. So we head to the station, and the tickets cost me, for both of us, all of the money I had. And I was, yeah, that was a bit painful. It was a bit painful, but I thought, you know what? I'm going to make it no matter what happens. I declared it to my colleague as well, and we will make it work somehow because I'm not going home like this. I've only been here about a month and I can't return now to tell my parents and everybody what. And for myself also, what did I achieve? And Oddly enough, or strangely enough, or these things just happen like this, is that we were on the station and this guy walks up to us and he's asking if we had breakfast. And we're like, no, we didn't. And he purchases something for us to eat. And we end up sitting with him on the train. And he tells us about his family. I was coming to visit his daughters, I think it was. And he explains how we can travel because he's more familiar with the traveling because that's the first time we were on a train as well, in a foreign country. And then we got to at our stop, and I walked ahead, and he called my colleague, and he gave him something in his hand, and that was enough money for us to purchase something to eat and to travel. So that was something quite beautiful that happened. And yeah, it all came together with us declaring that, you know what, we're leaving this thing, we're not leaving home defeated, we're going to do this thing. We ended up finding a place, finding stable jobs, finding our own places also. We separated from there, my colleague and I. And we returned home successful, achieving what we wanted to achieve, not in the way that we thought we would achieve it, but we did. And that brings me to declaring independence, right? You might be in a space right now where you're thinking, I don't know how I'm going to get out of this, but say it out loud. Declare to yourself, I am going to get out of the situation I find myself in. I'm going to get out of my parents' basement. I'm going to move out of my parents' house. I am going to get myself a car to be able to drive around and experience that kind of freedom of getting around whenever I want to. I am getting out of this job. I'm getting a new job. I'm starting this new thing. You have to declare your independence. Because when you do that, you bring it into your conscious reality and you hear yourself saying that and you feel more positive and it feels more real and it becomes real because we create our own reality. Allow me to share an excerpt from AVDD, Leaving It All Behind. I was never really a fan of formal employment. After high school, having studied briefly, I had several jobs. Three of these jobs I was able to hold down a week each and finally found a job where I stayed for approximately 2 years. I grew tired of that as well and declared to my parents that I would be leaving the country. I had no idea where I was going just yet. All I knew is that I was leaving Cape Town, South Africa for a bit. My mother was strongly opposed. Who could blame her? Her only son had never even left South Africa and was talking about leaving the African continent. My father was supportive, as is usually his nature, and with a bit of effort, we secured my trip to London, United Kingdom. Quote of the day: success is the doing, not the getting. In the trying, not the triumph. Success is a personal standard reaching for the highest that is in us, becoming all that we can be. If we do our best, we are a success. Attributed to Zig Ziglar. Gratitude for tuning into this week's edition of The Spirit of Do. With me, your host and guide, David John Wayne Bailey, on Radio East River. I look forward to spending some quality time with you again this coming Monday at 10 a.m. South African Standard Time. Oh, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on the show, so feel free to reach out to me via email, david@davidjohnwaynebailey.com, or Twitter and Instagram at davbay83, DAVBAI83. Till then, keep doing what you're passionate about. Love and inner peace.